Excited to be here, everyone. Happy Friday. If you can hear me well and see me well, please type USA, put in the US flag, um, put the emoji of the US flag in the comment section, or just type in USA if you don't have that emoji. We're about to get started. We're going to be discussing the new alien registration law or requirement, and we'll be discussing some very interesting US immigration updates that you have to be aware of. You're welcome to share your questions and concerns. Um, okay, I think this is better on YouTube. I'm sorry, Instagram. I had placed it oddly, but now you guys can see me very well on Instagram. All right. So, join in, share the live video, follow our pages across social media. We are live on TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. So, we're just about to get started. I'm going to be sharing my screen with Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. I still don't have any comments here from Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. If you're on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and you are watching, please just type in and let me make sure that you guys can see me and hear me, because there's no comment from those platforms. Please drop a comment from Facebook, LinkedIn, and let's make sure they can see us very well before we get started. Okay. All right. Yes, I do see somebody drop a comment on YouTube and Facebook, Erica and Bright. Okay. Excellent. Thank you guys so much for confirming. So let's get started here and let's discuss what's going on with this new requirement and what you're expected to do. Hold on, guys. All right. Let me see which Instagram. Let me see which Instagram filter we could use. Okay, there you go. I think we're all good to go. We're set. We're good to go. So let's start. I'm sorry for moving my screen so much, but I think the Instagram is not very well positioned. I'm just trying to. Okay, I think this is better. All right, there you go. Great. So we're going to be discussing the new alien registration requirement. Okay, that's what we're going to be discussing. Let me pull it up from the Federal Register here. It's been published in the Federal Register. We're going to just make it very simple so that everybody can understand what is going on and what this is all about. If you guys remember, January 20th, 2025, President Trump announced a new, he signed a new executive order protecting the American people against invasion. And I remember seeing this requirement and I was like, okay, where the president said that every alien or non citizen in the United States had to be registered with the government. Meaning, if you were a non US citizen, everybody, every single person apart from US citizens had to tell the US government about their presence in the United States. I'm sorry. So whether you've been here for 30 years and the government doesn't know you are even here, or you've been here for 5 years, you had to register your presence. Okay, so based on this executive order, the government has released new regulations to ensure that everybody who is not a US citizen will register their presence with the government. Oh, okay. Let me zoom in some more. Let's see here. Let me zoom in. How do I zoom in here? I'm not sure if you guys can see very well. Okay, let me remove it and then I will add this again. Okay, I think this is it. All right, let's see. Oop. So, guys, drop your questions. We'll be answering as many questions as possible. So, drop the questions and we'll get to them at the end of this live session. Okay. All right. So this directive is based on the executive order protecting the American people against invasion. And we're going to be going into what the requirements are and just find out who's already registered, because some people are already registered, others are not. So please pay attention. A lot of your questions that you've been asking will be answered while we discuss this. Okay, a lot of your questions will be answered. So kindly stay focused and stay tuned and let's see. Okay, so who is required to be registered? Who's already registered? I'm sorry, I'm just having, why am I having difficulty with this? Let me see here. The problems of technology. Sometimes things just go funny and you can't even figure out what's going on. Um, Hold on, guys. I think the problem is I always have too many things opened on my computer. Too many things. Too many things. So, okay. I think we're good now. All right. So let's jump into it. So this announcement was made via the executive order for the first time in January 20th, 2025, protecting the American people against invasion. As you can tell, the government is worried about people invading the United States, aliens invading the United States, and so everybody has to register. If you are not a US citizen, then you are required to register. And it's very simple. Registration means submitting your name, your address, and your fingerprint to the US government. And when you move within 10 days, you have to let the government know that you have moved from your address, you've relocated, okay, so that they can track everybody and know where everybody is. Should you register? Should you not register? We're going to go over this, and then at the end of it, you will have the information to be able to determine what works for you. If you are looking obviously for particularized advice, feel free to call us. But hopefully at the end of this video, you can determine what to do with the information. Okay. So on February 25th, 2025, USCIS announced the implementation of a new registration requirement. And it said that so long as you were not a US citizen, you had to register with the Department of State, DHS. For some reason, Instagram has ended. Um, let's see here. I'll have to go live again. Okay, so long as you were in the United States, you had to register your presence with the US government. Okay, and the rule has been published, the interim final regulation, it has been published in the Federal Register notice, and it gives all the details of this program, the effective date of this interim final rule, or the effective date these regulations go into force. Effective date is from today. So from today, the rule goes into effect. Okay. Now, the form that is going to be used for this process is the G325R, and it's accessible once you create a USCIS account online. A USCIS account online, you create it, you'll be able to see the steps to follow to register if you decide that you do want to register. Okay. All right. So as I mentioned, it's a step to implement protecting American people against invasion executive order so that they can enforce compliance with alien registration requirements under Section 262 of the Immigration and Nationality Act. And the order prioritizes both civil and criminal enforcement if you don't fulfill your statutory obligation to register. So there are civil penalties and there are criminal penalties involved with a failure to comply with this rule. Okay. All right. Now, what is this new alien registration requirement? So, the law requires, as we've already mentioned, that everybody who is in the United States, who lives here, or who's going to spend more than 30 days here in the United States, so long as you're not a US citizen, then you have to tell the government that you are here. The government has to be aware that you are in the United States. Okay. Let me scroll down my screen. All right. And you're going to be providing your personal information to the US government, your fingerprint, your home address. The purpose of the initiative is to enhance national security. According to the government, they're saying they want to enhance national security. They want to make sure that they know who is here, and they want to ensure that people comply with U.S. immigration laws because these rules are already in the regulations. So all non-citizens, so long as you're 14 years old and older, if you were not fingerprinted or registered, or you haven't ever done biometrics for the US government, when you were coming in, you applied for your US visa, if you went into the embassy, let's say you were 18 years old and you applied for a US visa to come into the US, you are already registered because you were fingerprinted when you applied for your US visa. So long as I mentioned, if you're spending more than 30 days in the US, then you have to apply for registration and fingerprinting. And so obviously, visa holders would not need to comply with this because they are already fingerprinted. So if you're coming in on a B2 visa and you're going to be spending 3 months because you took a visa from your home country, you already fingerprinted, so they have all your information, you're already registered. Now, parents and guardians, you are responsible for registering your children who are under 14 years old. Okay. If you are under 14 years old, your parents and your guardians have to register you. Once a child reaches their 14th birthday, then they have to reapply for or re register and do a fingerprinting within 30 days of turning 14 years old. All right. So even if you are registered as a child, let's say you're 12 years old, the government already has your fingerprinting, you're registered. By the time you turn 14 years old, then you need to make sure that you re-register within 30 days of turning 14 years old. Okay. All right. So, who is already considered to be registered? As I've already mentioned, there are some people that, through the various encounters that they've had with US immigration, they are already registered and therefore do not need to register. So, we're going to go over those groups of people so you can understand who's already registered. And if you're already registered, many of you are likely already registered. So who's already registered? There are people who have submitted certain types of forms. Let me go over the forms. If you've ever submitted one of these forms to the US government, then you are already registered because you were required to submit some information about yourself to the government. Okay, so the first one is the I-67, the Form I-67 inspection record. It's for Hungarian refugees. If you've submitted this form in the past, then you're already registered. You don't need to comply with this registration requirement. I-94, you have the I-94. Many people have the I-94. Many people who come in or who came into the United States with a visa, they have the I-94. So the I-94 is your arrival and departure records that are issued to you by the Customs and Border Protection, CBP, when you're coming into the United States as a non-immigrant. Those who are also paroled under Section 212D5, they have parole. They are paroled. um, these people have been registered. Okay, these people have been registered. Anybody who has the form I-95, this is usually for crewmen, that's their landing permit. Crewmen who are arriving by vessel into the United States, they are already registered and it's shown by the I-95, they have it. Then the I-181 Memorandum of Creation of Record of Lawful Permanent Residence. This is aliens who were, or non-citizens who were lawfully admitted into the United States some years back under a particular section of law. They were giving the I-181, then the I-485, very common. That's what you use to apply for a green card. The I-485, your green card application for status as permanent resident. Then the I-590 registration for classification as refugee or SKP. Then I-687, if you have this application for status as a temporary resident. If you ever applied for status as a temporary resident, then you are already registered. I-691, notice of approval for status as a temporary resident. These people have already registered. Then the I-698, application to adjust status from temporary to permanent resident. The I-700, application for status as a temporary resident. You are already registered. Then the I-817, application for voluntary departure under the Family Unity Program. So these forms that I just mentioned, they are a list of documents that show evidence of registration. And keep this in mind because somewhere down the line we'll explain to you that if you are already registered, the government is requiring that you bear a copy on your evidence of registration at all times. I talk to a lot of people, and some people are planning not to register. They're like, well, come get me. How would you know I'm here? They are planning not to register. But we don't know how the government is going to start checking and enforcing that people are complying with this rule. I don't know how they are going to verify because the law says you should carry this on you at all times. So we're yet to see how they're going to enforce compliance with this rule. Okay. So the things I mentioned, the documents I mentioned, constitute evidence of your registration, evidence that you have complied or you've obeyed this law. Okay. Now I'm going to give you, you know, um, some other documents and the law that also constitute evidence of registration. Identification card. Then we have the I-85 non-resident alien Canadian border crossing card. Then the I-186, That's the non-resident alien Mexican border crossing card. I-221, order to show cause and notice of hearing. This is aliens or non-citizens against whom deportation proceedings are being instituted. So if you are in immigration court, you've ever gone to immigration court, remember that biometrics were part of the process. You had to do it, but you had to comply with the biometrics requirement. You are already registered. You don't need to register. The government is already aware that you are here. Then the I-551, which is the permanent residence card or the alien registration card. If you're a green card holder, you are already registered. You don't need to register. Then another common one is the I-766. That's your employment authorization. If you have a work permit, you've ever applied for a work permit, you ever received a work permit, then it shows that you have already registered. Okay. Form I-862, notice to appear. If removal proceedings are being instituted against you, then the government is also aware that you are here, you're already registered. I-863, notice of referral to immigration judge. If again you are being placed in removal proceedings, you have this form. It shows that you are already registered. Okay, so the people who are already considered to be registered are those that I just mentioned. People like green card holders, people who have work permits, people who have ever been placed in removal proceedings. They are already registered under this law, and so they are already considered to be registered. Let's move on here. Who is required to register? Okay, we're moving from those who are registered to the people who are required to register. Registration applies to if you are an individual, you are 14 years old and above, okay, and you were not fingerprinted when you were applying for a US visa. You plan to stay in the US for more than 30 days or longer, you must register before your 30-day period is up. So let's say you are 16 years old. You entered the United States without inspection with your mother or your father. You plan to stay here so that you can go to school and build a life for yourself. You are required to register because you didn't come in with a visa. You intend to stay for more than 30 days. You are more than 14 years old. Number two, children under 14. So if there are parents or legal guardians of these children, they have to register these children who were not registered during the visa application process, and they will remain in the US for more than 30 days. Okay, so the first one is for people who are 14 years and above. Then the second group of people, children under 14. Children who are, or let me say, if you're 14 years and above, then you're not a child. According to the how they are describing the people in this rule. If you are 14 years and older, you register yourself if you are not registered. If you're a child under 14, then it's your parent or legal guardian's duty to register you if you were not registered. Then previously registered children. Now, if you, let's say again, you were 9 years old, you were registered, you applied for a US visa, you came into the US, and you are turning 14 in September, you have to re-register and provide fingerprints within 30 days of your birthday in September. Okay, so make sure that if you are turning 14 years old, even if you've already registered, you have to do a re-registration within 30 days of your 14th birthday. Who is not registered? Those who enter the US without inspection. Again, the point of all of this is to register your presence with the government. They need your fingerprints to know that you're here. And that's the best way to know that A is different from B, because you guys already know, or some of you may know, there's no two people who have the same fingerprint. Everybody has a very unique fingerprint. Okay, because you can find 10 people with the same name. You can find 1,000 John Smiths. You can find probably 500 Rebecca Browns. But science has showed that There are over 100 billion humans who have lived on Earth, but no two fingerprints, according to scientists, have ever been identical. Beyond immigration, think about how unique you are. There's no one who has ever come on earth who's like you. There's no one who is on earth who's like you, and there's no one who will ever come on earth who is like you. You are one of a kind, you are unique. Your fingerprint, there's just nobody that has the same fingerprints, which is why they're, because as for the names, names change all the time. You can be called Rebecca Brown today, tomorrow you are married, you are Rebecca Arthur. You are Rebecca Arthur today, tomorrow you are divorced, you are back to Rebecca Brown. Or next 2 weeks, you decide to change your name because you don't like your name, and you go through whatever you need to go through. So the fingerprint is what they're really focused on because of how unique fingerprints are. Okay. So you have to, if the government doesn't have your fingerprint, then you have to make sure that you do the registration. So if you enter the US without inspection, it means that you came in without permission. When people go to apply for US visas, what they are essentially doing is Facebook still here? Okay, great. What they're essentially doing when they apply for a US visa is they're asking the government for permission to come into the US. You go for a B2 visa in India, you apply for a B2 visa in India, in Jamaica, in the Philippines, in Canada. And what you're asking the government is that, hey, I'm not a US citizen. I would just love to visit the US, or I have some business to conduct in the US, or I want to visit, right? Then you give your fingerprints, and then they have you in the system. They're able to put you down that, okay, you entered and you're supposed to return on a particular date, so they can keep track of who is in the US, the numbers of overstay, and those types of information. So if you don't apply for a US visa and you don't have parole, parole is seeking permission, or parole pretty much gives you permission to enter the US. Then you entered without inspection. Some people jump, rivers and walls and pass through all sorts of things to enter the US without inspection. So some people enter the US and the government doesn't know that they're even here. You know, they've never been caught, they've never been arrested. There's just no presence of them in the US. They're able to live here without doing anything. Um, After some time, obviously, some people will have to open a bank account, try to get work permits and all that. But some people, for some reason, are able to live here without providing any evidence to the government that they are here. So the government may not know that they are here. You see, some people have even an I-130 filed on their behalf, an I-601A filed on their behalf, an lawful presence. So the I-130 is for your family member who's trying to apply for you. And then the I-601A waiver is a waiver for unlawful presence if you entered without inspection, or you are in the preference immigrants category and you're not in lawful status, you're trying to apply for a green card. Now, the people who entered without inspection, for example, they have an I-601A waiver pending. They won't give their fingerprint. So usually they are required to register, for example, to show their presence here. Those people would usually travel outside to visit the US embassy in their country, give their fingerprints, and then go through an interview. And then the consular officer will determine whether to forgive their unlawful entry and presence in the United States, and then allow them to get green cards or immigrant visas to come into the US to get green cards. Okay. Canadians who entered at a land port and were not issued evidence of registration. Sometimes there are some Canadians, when they're coming into the US, they don't receive evidence of registration. They are not registered. Those who applied for the immigration benefits that are not listed in some of the things I listed. including people who have applied for DACA and TPS. They are not registered. So DACA and TPS people are not registered if that's your only type of application. All right, let's see here. Um, there's a second document that I have to share, but I don't know if, okay, let's see if we can just quickly go over that document as well. Hold on, everyone. Let me see here. Okay, so drop your questions. I will be taking some questions really soon to see how we can assist you. Um, okay, there you go. I found it now. Okay, that's me marking. When I used to study in law school, I would just like, by the time I'm done reading the textbook, I've just underlined almost everything and marked it out so much. And it's like, okay, the things you're intending to highlight, you've almost highlighted everything is making sense. I think when the reading hits so nice and it's so sweet and it's like you're just underlining and then it loses its essence because you're just supposed to be underlining the things that matter. And then you enjoy the reading so much, you end up underlining everything. It loses its purpose, right? Okay, so that's what happened here. Don't worry about the plenty highlighting. Okay, all right, let's go. Pretty much. Okay, let's talk about the potential penalties. What are the potential penalties if you fail to register? What are the potential penalties? Number one, if you don't register and provide your fingerprint, then the penalty is a fine of up to $5,000 or imprisonment of up to about 6 months, 180 days, or both. You could be slapped with, you have to pay a $5,000 fine plus you will also be imprisoned for 6 months. Well, up to. So it can be 3 months, 4 months, 2 months. Um, and then there's also fraudulent registration, which can constitute grounds of deportability. What does this mean? If you use fake information or you register with any type of untruth or lie, then it will be called a fraudulent registration because you are intending to deceive a U.S. immigration officer by willfully or intentionally misrepresenting a material fact, which is not true. You are aware that you are aware of the falsity of what you are presenting, but you present it nonetheless. That's the fraudulent registration. So if you use information that is not true, you submit information that's not true, it constitutes grounds of deportability. It means that you can be sent to immigration court and placed in removal proceedings. You will go to immigration court to meet an immigration judge, and you will now have to show cause why you should not be removed from the United States. Okay, so that will constitute grounds of deportability. Again, remember that a lot of the times when these rules come out, it takes time to figure out how the government will interpret some of the regulations. What will they do? How will they determine something is fraudulent or not, or what are some of the penalties, the limits, and mitigating factors, aggravating factors. We'll see all of those within the next coming days. Number one, if you don't register, there are penalties, civil and criminal. Number two, you have to carry evidence of compliance if you are 18 years old and above. Penalty is a misdemeanor. So, number one, failing to register itself is a crime. Number two, failure to comply let's say, so you carry evidence of compliance if you are, so failure to comply with, so you've registered all right, but if you fail to comply with the requirements that you should carry the evidence, then it's a misdemeanor. Also has a fine of $5,000. And I'm not sure why TikTok just went off. Let's go again. Let's go again. Let's go again. Okay, so I just set up on TikTok. So number one, failure to register is, you can be penalized. And number two, if you don't carry evidence of compliance, you can also be penalized, misdemeanor with a fine, imprisonment for up to 30 days. I'm not sure if TikTok, it looks like my internet was messing up a little bit. Okay, we're back live on TikTok. Okay, so failure to register is an issue, both civil and criminal penalties. Failure to carry evidence of registration also has penalties. And if once you register, you also have to notify DHS of an address change within 10 days of moving. So if you move from Ohio to Texas within 10 days of moving, you have to let the government know. Remember that changing your address with the post office is not the same as changing your address with USCIS. You have to change your address with USCIS. And this requirement applies to even green card holders. Green card holders also have to let the government know when they move so that the government can correspond with you. They need to notify you of something, they know where to find you. So you have to comply with this as well. All right.
I don't have an answer for that.
Siri is just feeling ignored and decided to speak up. Please ignore that. So who's exempt? Let's go over who's exempt again. We've said a few of them, but if you are a visa holder, you are exempt. You already registered, you were fingerprinted through your application for a visa, B2 visa, B1 visa, F1 visa, H1B visa, L1 visa, whatever visa you come in with. You've been registered and fingerprinted through that visa application process. Number two, A visa holders. Then G visa holders, these are diplomats. For the A visa, G is for, I believe, people who work with international organizations. And then those who are in the US for less than 30 days, you don't need to register. And then green card holders are not required to register. However, if you are a green card holder who's outside the United States, when you turn 14, you must apply for registration and provide a picture of yourself within 30 days after you return. Okay, so once you come into the US, you turn 14 years old as a green card holder, you have to register, provide your fingerprint and picture within 30 days. Again, because you are a lawful permanent resident, this is what is required. American Indians born in Canada who possess at least 50% blood of the American Indian race who are present in the US under the authority of 8 USC 1359. If you're not an American Indian born in Canada, you don't need to worry about this, but those people are already registered. Okay, so we've already talked about non-compliance punishment. Yeah, we've talked about if you fail to register, if you don't carry proof of the requirement, and if you don't register your address change, also there's a fine of $5,000, up to $5,000, meaning you can be fined $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, up to $5,000, and you could be imprisoned for up to 30 days, or you can get the fine plus the imprisonments together. All right. And we've already discussed the forms and the types of documents you can show to demonstrate that you are already registered. Okay, great. All right. Now we can start taking some questions. I'm sure a lot of you have your questions already answered. Let me just take this. Okay, let me take this off the screen, and then we can answer some questions for some people. Uh, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not sure what's going on with TikTok. It's very unfortunate today that TikTok of all places is not. It's not. It's not working. I don't know what's going on here. Let's see. Am I live? TikTok, can you hear me? I don't think so. If you're on TikTok, you can hear me. Please type something in the chat box. Okay, so let's see here. Um, okay, let me see. I'll just pick some questions so that we don't waste too much time. I really appreciate all of you joining us today. Oh, you have an echo? I'm sorry. Um, Yao Ya says, Esquire Ikea, I entered the US with a different address and now I'm visiting with a different family member. I'm filing, but is it advisable to use my entering address or my current address? My actual address is where I am. I'm not sure about your question, but number one, if you came in with a visa, then you're already registered. So you don't need to comply with this because you're already registered, you were fingerprinted. Um, if you are filing a green card application as part of the process, you've likely already done biometrics or you're going to be doing biometrics. So you'll be covered. Okay, you need more help, please contact us. I'm not very sure if I got your question clearly. Okay. And then let me just rejoin TikTok again. This is very unfortunate. Let's see. All right. Um, Erica Reinhardt says, I already registered when I came. I have to do it again. No, if you're already registered, that's all. You don't need to re-register. So long as you've ever had a work permit, you were already registered, and so you don't need to re-register. Okay, so I'm just logging on to TikTok again, alien registration. Okay. And then we have, oh yeah, Mr. Francis Gabin says TikTok was bad. I'm sorry, I'm not sure what's happening. I think I know what's happening. It's raining really badly. It's been raining from morning in some parts of Virginia. So I don't know if that has affected the um, connection. Okay. All right, let's see here if we have any comments on. I saw some. Oh my gosh, TikTok is just so bad today. Kaiso Deal says, is it true that whoever goes for interview without a lawyer is more likely to be arrested and detained? I don't know where that information came from. Um, I'm not sure, but USCIS themselves announced it, and there have been some arrests around the country, but I don't know what the numbers are for those who are arrested for going for their interviews or some biometric appointments. I mean, if you have a lawyer, that's your advocate, right? So your lawyer is if the lawyer understands what they're doing and is able to advocate for you, then even if you were likely to be picked up, perhaps their advocacy could prevent that. Um, but I don't have the statistics to be able to tell you that it's likely whoever goes for an interview without a lawyer is more likely to be arrested. I wouldn't be able to make that assertion. There are people that go for their immigration interviews and by themselves and they don't get arrested. There are people that go by themselves and they could get arrested. So just if you are going for an interview, you even if you don't want to hire a lawyer to go with you, I would recommend that you speak with a U.S. immigration attorney to just go over a few concerns and just clarify a few things to see what's going on. Okay. Sometimes I speak to people and they do certain things. Are like, oh, and I didn't even know. And you tell them some law, right? And they're like, I didn't even know that was a law. Well, how would you know? I always say, how would you know? This is not what you do. You are busy doing what you do. So you wouldn't necessarily know about obscure laws or hidden laws or reliefs or things that you should know about. So that's the benefit of speaking with an effective immigration lawyer, an experienced immigration lawyer to help you. Let's see, do we have any more questions? Savasis29 says, I want to go to Mega American. How should I do it? America the beautiful. There's a few ways. You can either come in as an immigrant or as a non-immigrant. Non-immigrant, there are several ways. Student, visit, work. As if you're coming in as a worker, there's several ways to come in. Immigrant, there are also a few ways to come in. Please, can a permanent resident file for someone with a B1, B2 visa? Yes, they can, but there's some things to be concerned about. If a permanent resident or a green card holder is filing for someone with a B1, B2, number one, it depends on the relationship between the resident or the green card holder and the person they're trying to file for. Green card holders can only file for two categories of people: spouses and unmarried children. A green card holder cannot file for their parents, they cannot file for their married children or anybody else. US citizens, on the other hand, can file for five categories of people: spouses, parents, children, fiancés, siblings, US citizens. For green card holders, they can only file for their spouses and unmarried children. End of story. And if you are filing for anybody as a green card holder, let's say your spouse or your child, you're called, the process is a preference immigrant, process, or the category is a preference immigrant category. And it has some special rules. So you want to certainly speak with an attorney before you move forward with such a filing, green card holder filing for someone with a B1, B2, because typically B1, B2, you are given a 6-month stay. And with green card holders, there has to be a visa available on the visa bulletin depending on your priority date. So, maybe I should explain a little more. Whoever files, if you are a petitioner and you apply for a family member to get a green card, the date on which you submit the application, you are given something called a priority date. It's just like you go to McDonald's and you are given a number, maybe 25. In US immigration, your priority date is the date. It's a date, right? Instead of numbers, it's a date. So if we submit your application today, your priority date for your case will be Friday, April 11, 2025. That's your place in queue. All the people ahead of you who submitted their cases ahead of you, their cases will generally be adjudicated ahead of yours. Now, your priority date, if you are the beneficiary of a green card holder who's filing for you, it must be current before you can submit a green card application on the adjustment of status side or on the, yeah, it seems I'm getting a lot of notifications that we're not live on TikTok. It should be, the priority date should be current before you can apply for an adjustment of status for your family member. Okay, so it's very alien registration. Okay, let's see if this will work again. Yeah, so if you're a green card holder trying to apply for your family member, please contact us. We handle cases nationwide, all 50 states and around the world. So distance is not a barrier, regardless of where you are. We can help you. All right. Ida R77 on Instagram says, Hi, lawyer. Oh, he says, Hi, I'm a lawyer in Iran. Nice to meet you. Okay. All right. And then Kind Chris says that can your girlfriend invite you? Do you consider that invitation? Yeah, your girlfriend can certainly invite you to the United States to come and visit. That's fine. That's fine. It's done. You can come for a visit. Yeah. So the other thing I'll also say is that the Federal Register notice says that currently, there's no filing fee for the form G325R at this time, but they are considering adding a $30 registrant's fee for the biometric services. Okay, so they're seeking comment on this. So we'll see how that turns out, whether they'll start charging for the registration or not. Let me see if there's any more questions. Okay, so we have Erica Reinhardt says, could your citizen sister file for you? Yes, your sister who's a citizen can file for you, but citizen petitions, I'm sorry, sibling petitions currently taking no less than 18 years. So if they file for you, you have to continue to maintain lawful non-immigrant status if you are in the United States in order to adjust your status or file a green card. If you are outside, then you have a long time to wait. That's fine, but they can file for you. Your sibling can file a petition for you. Erica on Facebook said, Thank you for all you do, ma'am, for all the updates. Thank you so much. Anguilla says, Do you think the penalty of 998 can be possible? Sure, it's in the regulations. It's in the regulations, so they are looking to enforce it. I mean, they posted it, CBP posted it on their social media pages, and some people said they got information also that some of the news, the news reports said they've gotten this information that they're planning to do this. So we'll wait to see if that will also be enforced. Rita Beidou, can a VAWA holder be able to invite someone for a visit? Rita, please call us. Call us and let's see. Um, let's discuss this with you. Let's discuss this with you. It sounds like your VAWA petition was approved. Just call us and let's see how we can help you with that and who you're trying to invite, and let's give you advice tailored to that. Kind Chris Wright on Instagram says, I appreciate the good information. Thank you guys so much. Roll M Paul says, Hi, you're doing a great job. Keep it up. Thank you very much. If there are no more questions, then I am going to likely end the live video. There's just so many things happening. So many things happening in US immigration. Um, Jay, you're asking what happens if you don't register. We've discussed all the penalties, up to $5,000 fines, up to 180 days of imprisonment, or both. If you don't register, those are the penalties. Fraudulent registration, there is, deportability. Okay, so guys, thank you for joining in. I appreciate all your comments, your likes. They really help and they motivate us to do more. You guys, since Trump came into power, we've not had any rest. Immigration attorneys, we've not had any rest. It's been very, very stressful running around, just trying to do as much as we can. So we appreciate all your support and liking our post, sharing it, referring people to us. yeah, just continue to do that. If you haven't followed our pages, AK Poku Law, across all social media platforms, do that so that we can continue to bring you the information as we get it, and then we try to explain what's going on in terms of the law. One of the things that we have to realize is that, and a couple of people raised this point much earlier. If you guys have noticed, the Trump administration is bombarding us with rules and information left, right, center. I mean, just hitting us back to back. Like, there's just so much going on. There's so many lawsuits. I mean, I believe even the tourism executive order alone has over 10 lawsuits challenging it. Different rules are just coming up, different challenges, different lawsuits all around, and even as there are lawsuits coming up to challenge all these rules, the government still keeps issuing new rules, new regulations, new things to do. So it's very hard to have, if you don't stay focused and you're very distracted all over the place, you might really get flustered or very destabilized, and that's how you can start doing certain things that could get you in trouble. So just remain grounded. Make sure you have a U.S. immigration attorney that you can speak to, that knows you, knows about your story, and is ready to help you if anything goes wrong. Because now this new alien registration law, we don't know how they're going to enforce it, whether they're going to start going out in the communities and asking people, the lawsuits. Let me mention that a lawsuit was filed, and we posted this on our social media. There were immigrant rights groups that filed a lawsuit to challenge this alien registration law, but the court declined to block it. The court said no, they would not block it, and one of their one of the reasons for requesting the court to block it is that the U.S. will become a show me your papers country. But the court said they didn't have standing, the immigrant right group didn't have standing, and they didn't block it. So pretty much it's become a show me your papers country. So how is it going to play out within the next few days? Now it's like, okay, well, your Fifth Amendment right, you have the right to remain silent, but well, show me your papers. Otherwise, then there's a problem there, right? So let's see how this will play out, how they're going to be asking, or how they're going to be looking at having people comply with this law. And as the information becomes available, we'll also do our best to share them with you. Please, if you have specific questions about your case, please contact us. That's what legal advice is for. You contact the attorney, let the attorney have special one-on-one time with you, focus on your case, look at all the angles, and give you advice that will help you. All right. Okay, guys. So thank you again for joining. Hopefully, I'll see you next week. Last week we couldn't come on live. I had an immigration interview with one of our clients. Yeah, we had some interviews on Friday, so we couldn't make it, and those interviews went really well. So yeah, if you have an interview that you are going to go for and you are very worried, please contact us and we'll see how best we can assist you. Thank you all so much for joining. Don't forget to like and follow our social media pages, and I'll see you soon in our next live video. Take care. Bye.